The brunch table gleams with silverware and forced smiles. I'm picking at my eggs when Vanessa raises her glass, her diamond bracelet catching the light. To success, she announces, voice dripping with sweetness, may some of us one day afford it. The words hit like a slap. The room blurs, my aunt's pitying glance, my brother-in-law Raymond's smirk, the uncomfortable shuffling of cousins pretending not to notice. My fingers tighten around my fork. Vanessa tilts her head, perfectly styled hair not moving an inch. Oh, come on, Elon. It's just a joke. But everyone's laughing now, the sound bouncing off the restaurant's expensive walls. I look down at my jacket, the worn one she once said smelled like failure. My throat tightens, but I refuse to give her the satisfaction of seeing me break. Instead, I stand slowly, pull out my wallet, and drop enough bills to cover my meal on the table. Enjoy your brunch, I say quietly. As I walk out, I hear Raymond whisper, sensitive much, followed by more laughter. Outside, the cold air hits my face. My hands shake as I unlock my car. I sit behind the wheel, gripping it hard, her words echoing in my head like a broken record. One day, she'll know the truth. My name is Elon Dean, and I've been the family embarrassment for as long as I can remember. That's what happens when you're born 2 years after your sister and spend your whole life in her shadow. Vanessa was always the golden child. Straight A's, student council president, full scholarship to business school. Our parents couldn't stop bragging about her. Meanwhile, I was too quiet, too simple, lacking ambition. I remember one dinner when I was 16. I just won a regional math competition, something I'd worked months for. Dad barely looked up from his newspaper. That's nice, son. Then he turned to Vanessa. Tell us more about that internship offer. Mom patted my hand like I was a child who needed consolation. Not everyone can be a star, sweetie. You'll find your place eventually. I stopped competing after that. What was the point? Vanessa had already claimed every spotlight in our house. I retreated into my room, into books and computers, building worlds where I actually mattered. She noticed my withdrawal and loved it. It made her shine even brighter by comparison. She'd bring friends home and introduce me as, my brother, the quiet one. I told myself I didn't care. But I did. I cared so much it hurt. Everything changed after our parents died in a car accident 3 years ago. The grief was overwhelming, but Vanessa handled it perfectly, organized the funeral, spoke at the service, received condolences with grace. I could barely speak. The only thing they left us was the family home, the place where we'd grown up. It was small but filled with memories. Mom's garden, Dad's workshop, the tree we'd climbed as kids. One afternoon, Vanessa sat me down in the living room. Her voice was soft, concerned. Elon, I know this is hard for you. The paperwork, the estate stuff, it's complicated. Let me handle it. You just focus on healing. I was drowning in grief, barely functioning. Okay, I whispered. Thank you. 6 weeks later, I got a call from a lawyer. The house had been sold. Vanessa had forged my signature on the documents, transferred everything into her name, and closed the deal without telling me. When I confronted her, she shrugged. You weren't doing anything with it anyway. I needed the money for my business. You understand, right? That night, I drove to our old neighborhood and parked outside the gate. A new family was moving in, carrying boxes past the garden Mom had planted. I slept in my car that night, too numb to drive home. That's when I made my promise. I took a job at a small tech startup called Datacore. The pay was terrible, the office was cramped, and the work was grunt-level programming. Vanessa called it adorable when I told her. Oh, Elon's playing computer games for a living, she'd tell her friends with a laugh. Maybe one day he'll work somewhere real. But while she was busy posting Instagram photos at expensive restaurants, I was learning. I stayed late every night, studying the company's systems, understanding how small businesses struggled with financial management. Most couldn't afford fancy software or dedicated accountants. They were drowning in spreadsheets and guesswork. I saw an opportunity. On weekends, I started building my own platform, something simple, automated, affordable. A system that could handle invoicing, payroll, tax calculations, everything a small business needed. I called it LedgerLink. My apartment was barely livable. My fridge held mostly condiments and expired milk. I ate ramen most nights and wore the same 3 shirts on rotation. But my code was beautiful. My vision was clear. Mr. Patel, the CEO of Datacore, noticed me working late one night. "What are you building?" he asked, peering at my screen. I almost lied. But something in his eyes made me trust him. "Something that could change everything," I said quietly. He smiled. "Show me." 2 years passed. Vanessa got married to Raymond, a real estate developer with family money and an ego the size of his portfolio. The wedding was extravagant: ice sculptures, a live band, champagne fountains. I received an invitation with a handwritten note, dress code, formal. Please try to look presentable. I showed up in my only suit, the one I'd bought for our parents' funeral. It was slightly too big now. I'd lost weight from stress and irregular meals. Vanessa spotted me during cocktail hour. She swept over in her designer gown, trailed by bridesmaids. "Elon. You made it." She hugged me for the cameras, then whispered, "That suit is tragic." Later, during dinner, she announced she had a gift for me. Everyone turned to watch as she handed me a small box. Inside was a used tie, slightly stained. "I know money's tight," she said loudly, "so I thought you could use this. Raymond doesn't wear it anymore." The table erupted in awkward laughter. Raymond leaned over, voice carrying. "Man, you should learn from your sister. She married well. Maybe try that instead of, whatever it is you do." I folded the tie carefully, placed it back in the box, and stood. "Congratulations on your marriage," I said to Vanessa. "I hope you're very happy." I left before the cake was cut. In my car, I sat in the parking lot, watching guests through the window. Vanessa was laughing, the center of attention as always. She needed me small to feel large. I finally understood that. Mr. Patel became more than a boss. He became a mentor, then an investor. After seeing my LedgerLink prototype, he wrote me a check for $50,000. "I believe in this," he said, sliding the check across his desk. "But Elon, listen carefully. Don't tell people what you're building. Let them find out when it's too late to stop you." That advice saved me. I kept quiet, worked in shadows, avoided family gatherings. Vanessa assumed I was embarrassed by my failures. She had no idea I was building an empire. I hired 2 developers, a designer, and a customer service rep. We worked from a tiny office above a dry cleaner. The ceiling leaked when it rained. Our desks were secondhand. But the code we wrote was revolutionary. LedgerLink launched quietly. No press releases, no fanfare. Just a simple website and word-of-mouth marketing. Within 3 months, we had 50 clients. Within 6 months, 200. Small businesses loved us because we understood them. We were small too. The money started coming in. Not a lot at first, but steady. Enough to move into a better apartment. Enough to buy groceries without checking my bank balance first. Enough to breathe. Vanessa posted photos of her new house with captions like, "Hard work pays off." I posted nothing. I just kept building. 3 years after her wedding, Vanessa hosted a family dinner at her mansion. The invitation said, casual elegance, which meant expensive casual. I showed up in jeans and a button-down shirt. She opened the door, looked me up and down, and sighed. I said elegant, Elon. The dinner was a performance. Vanessa served elaborate courses, told stories about her charity work, showed off her renovated kitchen. Raymond talked about his real estate deals, dropping names of wealthy clients. Then Vanessa turned to me. So, Elon, still coding in that basement? I wasn't in a basement. I had a downtown office by then. But I just nodded. Still coding. How sweet, she said, voice dripping with condescension. It's nice that you have a hobby. Some people dream, others do. Her friends laughed. I finished my wine, thanked her for dinner, and left early. In my car, I checked my phone. An investor wanted to meet tomorrow. They were offering $2 million for a 20% stake in LedgerLink. I drove home smiling. LedgerLink exploded. What started as 50 clients became 500, then 2,000, then 10,000. Small businesses across 3 states were using our platform. The revenue numbers made my head spin. I hired more staff. We moved into a real office with a view of the city. I bought a nicer car, nothing flashy, just reliable. I upgraded my wardrobe, got a decent haircut, joined a gym. But I kept living modestly. Vanessa still thought I was barely scraping by, and I let her think it. Every time she posted something about real success, I'd screenshot it and save it to a folder on my computer labeled receipts. Meanwhile, her life was all performance. The mansion had a mortgage she could barely afford. Raymond's business was struggling, I knew because several of his clients had signed with LedgerLink, and they'd told stories about unpaid invoices and broken promises. One night, my phone rang. Vanessa's name flashed on the screen. I almost didn't answer. Hey, she said, voice unusually soft. I need to ask you something. Raymond's company is having some cash flow issues. You do that finance software thing, right? Could you help us? My heart pounded. This was it. The moment I'd been waiting for. Sure, I said calmly. I'll look into it. Thanks, little brother. I knew I could count on you. After we hung up, I sat staring at my phone. She had no idea what she just walked into. Raymond's company signed with LedgerLink through a third-party consulting firm. He never knew I owned it. The paperwork listed our parent company, not my name. To him, we were just another software vendor. I assigned my best team to his account. Within weeks, we diagnosed every problem in his business: poor record keeping, tax miscalculations, overspending, clients who hadn't paid in months. The data told a story of a company circling the drain. I sent detailed reports to Raymond through our account manager. Professional, thorough, actionable. He ignored most of them. Too proud to take advice from people he saw as beneath him. Vanessa called again. Is your software helping? Raymond says you sent some reports. We sent recommendations, I said carefully. Whether he follows them is up to him. Well, maybe you could explain them better. Raymond's very busy, you know. He doesn't have time to read through all that technical stuff. I bit my tongue. I'll see what I can do. Thanks. And Elon? Don't mention to anyone that we're struggling. You know how people talk. Of course, I said. It stays between us. After that call, I knew exactly how this would end. I just had to wait. Months passed. Raymond's company limped along, barely surviving on the lifeline LedgerLink provided. Our software automated their billing, caught tax errors, flagged unpaid invoices. We literally saved them from bankruptcy. But Raymond took all the credit. At family gatherings, he'd brag about his turnaround strategies and business acumen. Vanessa would beam at him, then glance at me with that familiar pity. "It's nice that you have your little computer job," she said once. "Not everyone can be an entrepreneur like Raymond." I just smiled. Our software was tracking every penny of their operation. I knew their revenue, their expenses, their profit margins. I knew Raymond was spending $50,000 a year on golf club memberships while his company teetered on the edge. Then the scandal hit. A former employee leaked emails showing Raymond had been misreporting income to avoid taxes. The local news picked it up. Within 48 hours, 3 major clients pulled their contracts. Vanessa called me, voice shaking. "Did you see the news? It's all lies, Elon. People are jealous of Raymond's success." "I'm sorry you're going through this," I said. "Can your software help? Can it show the real numbers, prove they're wrong?" I paused. "Our software shows exactly what's there, Vanessa. It can't change the truth." Silence. Then, quietly, "What are you saying?" "I'm saying maybe Raymond should have listened to those reports we sent." The fallout was brutal. Raymond's company lost client after client. The IRS opened an investigation. Vanessa's social media went silent. No more posts about luxury vacations or designer handbags. She called me at 2 in the morning, crying. "Why didn't you tell us it was this bad? You had access to everything. You could have warned us." I was in my office, reviewing quarterly reports. LedgerLink had just crossed $50 million in annual revenue. "I sent 12 detailed reports over 6 months," I said calmly. Raymond ignored them all. "You should have called. You should have made him listen. I'm a software vendor, Vanessa. I'm not his business consultant. You're my brother." Her voice cracked. "You could have helped us. You mean like how you helped me when you sold our parents' house without telling me?" The line went silent. Then she hung up. I sat in the darkness of my office, surrounded by the company I'd built from nothing. I didn't feel victorious. I just felt tired. 6 months later, Vanessa sent me an invitation to a family reunion. The message was brief: "Everyone will be there. Please come. It's been too long." Then, a second text: "Wear something nice this time, okay? Try to look presentable." There it was. Even in crisis, even humbled, she couldn't help herself. The instinct to put me down was too ingrained. I replied simply, "I'll be there." By this point, LedgerLink was valued at $80 million. We'd expanded to 12 states, hired over 100 employees, and partnered with 3 national banks. I'd been featured in business magazines under headlines like "The Quiet Disruptor" and "Tech's Best Kept Secret." But I still drove a modest car. Still wore understated clothes. Still lived in a nice but not ostentatious apartment. Vanessa had no idea. The night before the reunion, I lay awake thinking about that first brunch, her raised glass, her cutting words. I'd played this moment in my mind 1,000 times. Now it was finally here. I didn't want revenge, exactly. I just wanted her to see me. The real me. Not the failure she'd invented. Before the reunion, I drove to our old neighborhood. The family home where we'd grown up sat on a quiet street, painted a different color now. I parked outside and stared at it for a long time. A woman came out, watering plants in the garden where Mom used to grow tomatoes. She noticed me and waved. I waved back. "Can I help you?" she called. "I used to live here," I said. "Just wanted to see it again." Her face softened. "Would you like to come in? Have some tea?" I almost said no. But something pulled me forward. Inside, the layout was the same, but all the details were different. New furniture, new paint, new memories layered over old ones. "It's a wonderful house," the woman said, pouring tea in what used to be our kitchen. We've been very happy here. I'm glad, I said. And I meant it. As I left, I realized something important. I'd spent years angry about losing this house. But the house was just wood and brick. What I'd really lost was the feeling of belonging somewhere, of mattering to someone. And I'd spent the last few years building that back, one line of code at a time. The reunion was at a country club Vanessa had somehow retained membership to despite their financial problems. I walked in wearing a simple but well-tailored suit, nothing flashy. The scene was eerily familiar, the same relatives, the same forced smiles, the same undercurrent of judgment. Vanessa stood at the center of it all, holding court in a dress that probably cost more than she could afford. She saw me and waved me over. Elon. You made it. She hugged me, and I felt her whisper, "Thank you for coming. I know things have been complicated." We took our seats at a long table. Raymond was quieter than usual, his swagger deflated. My aunt asked him about his business, and he mumbled something about restructuring. Then Vanessa turned her attention to me, that familiar tone creeping back. "So, Elon, still doing the coding thing?" Everyone's eyes shifted to me. The loser brother, the family charity case. "Yeah," I said, taking a sip of water. "Still coding. It's going well." "I'm sure it is," she said with that practiced smile. "It's nice that you found something you enjoy. Not everyone needs to be wildly successful. Contentment is important too." Around the table, relatives nodded sympathetically. Poor Elon, they seemed to think. At least he's happy with his simple life. I just smiled and let them think what they wanted. Not yet. Not quite yet. A television played quietly in the corner of the room, tuned to a business news channel. Most people ignored it, too busy with their conversations and their meals. I watched it from the corner of my eye. Any minute now. The news anchor appeared on screen. Coming up next, we'll look at LedgerLink, the financial software company that's revolutionizing small business accounting. In just 3 years, they've grown from a startup to an $80 million valuation. The segment began. Footage of our office building, shots of happy clients, quotes from business analysts calling us the future of financial technology. I glanced around the table. No one was paying attention except me. Vanessa was telling a story about some charity event, gesturing with her wine glass. Raymond was checking his phone, probably looking at bills he couldn't pay. The anchor continued. What's remarkable about LedgerLink's success is its founder's decision to remain largely out of the spotlight. Elon Dean, a 32-year-old programmer, built the company from his apartment. My name hung in the air. But the TV volume was too low. The words were there, but no one heard them. I felt a strange calm settle over me. The reveal was coming, just not this way. Not from a television screen. It needed to be face to face. Vanessa was still talking, oblivious. I took another sip of water and waited. Dinner wound down. Dessert was served. Vanessa started getting agitated about something. A waiter had brought the wrong wine. She snapped at him, her composure cracking. "This isn't what I ordered. Do you people not listen?" The waiter apologized, scurried away. Vanessa stood abruptly. "I need some air." She grabbed her purse and headed toward the terrace. After a moment, I followed. She was standing by the railing, staring out at the darkening sky. Her shoulders were tight, her breathing uneven. "You okay?" I asked quietly. She spun around. "No, Elon, I'm not okay. Everything is falling apart. Raymond's business is dying. We might lose the house. My friends are all fake, they disappear the second you're not useful anymore." Her voice broke. "And you? You're just sitting there with that calm face, probably thinking I deserve all of this." I leaned against the railing beside her. I don't think you deserve to suffer, Vanessa. Then why aren't you helping? You keep saying you're doing fine, but you never offer to help your own sister when she needs you. The words hung between us. Years of resentment, years of cruelty, years of being made to feel worthless, all of it compressed into this moment. Why would I help? I asked softly. You never believed I had anything worth giving. She stared at me, and for the first time, I saw real fear in her eyes. Fear that maybe, just maybe, she'd been wrong about me all along. 3 weeks after the reunion, LedgerLink announced a major partnership with United Commerce Bank, one of the largest regional banks in the country. The deal was worth $20 million and would expand our reach to tens of thousands of new small business clients. The press coverage was extensive. My face was in business journals, technology blogs, local newspapers. I gave one carefully crafted interview where I talked about building a company for the businesses that get overlooked, the ones no one thinks are worth the effort. That same week, I did something I'd been planning for months. Through a private trust, I bought back our family home. The purchase was anonymous, the documents signed through layers of legal entities. No one would know it was me unless I told them. I stood in the hallway where I'd spent my childhood, where I'd felt so small and invisible. The new family had moved out to a bigger place. The house was empty now, echoing with memories. I walked through each room slowly. Dad's office, where he'd barely glanced at my math trophy. Mom's kitchen, where she told me not everyone could be a star. Vanessa's room, where she practiced the cruelty that would define our relationship. And my room, small and overlooked, where I'd taught myself to code, where I'd dreamed of being someone who mattered. Where even now, I whispered to the empty house. But I knew that wasn't quite true. Because this wasn't about evening scores. It was about proving to myself that I'd been worth something all along. Raymond's company filed for bankruptcy 2 months later. The news spread through our family like wildfire. I got calls from relatives I hadn't heard from in years, all of them asking if I'd heard, if I knew how bad it was. Vanessa called me at 11 at night, sobbing so hard I could barely understand her. Elon, please. I know I've been awful to you. I know I don't deserve your help. But we're losing everything. The house, the cars, everything. I don't know what to do. I let her cry for a moment. Then, calmly, I said, meet me tomorrow. 2 o'clock. I'll text you the address. Where? What address? Just trust me, Vanessa. One time. Can you do that? A long pause. Then, okay. After we hung up, I sat in my downtown apartment, looking out at the city lights. Tomorrow, everything would change. Tomorrow, she would finally see me. And I wasn't sure if I was ready for that or not. I'd imagined this moment for years. The vindication, the shock on her face, the reversal of everything she'd believed. But now that it was here, I felt something unexpected, sadness. Because revealing the truth meant admitting how much her words had hurt me. It meant showing her the scars she'd left. But it was time. Past time. The next day, Vanessa stood outside the glass tower in downtown, looking up at the building with confusion. She checked her phone, then looked around as if she might be at the wrong place. I watched her from the lobby, my heart pounding. Then I walked outside. Elon. She turned, surprise on her face. What are we doing here? Come inside, I said quietly. We rode the elevator to the 12th floor in silence. She kept glancing at me, trying to read my expression. The doors opened to reveal the LedgerLink logo on the wall, elegant, modern, impossible to miss. Wait, she said, stopping. This is that software company. The one from the news. Yes, I said. We walked past reception, down the hall lined with awards and press clippings. Past conference rooms full of my employees having meetings. Past the kitchen where my team gathered for coffee and collaboration. We reached my office. Through the glass walls, you could see the entire operation, the beating heart of what I'd built. "Welcome to my company," I said softly. Vanessa stared at the nameplate on the door, Elon Dean, founder and CEO. Her face went through a series of changes: confusion, disbelief, shock, dawning realization. You own this?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "I built it," I said. "In the years you were laughing at me. While you were calling me a failure. While I was supposedly coding in a basement." Her legs seemed to give out. She grabbed the doorframe for support. We sat in my office, the city spread out below us through floor-to-ceiling windows. Vanessa couldn't stop staring around the room, at the awards on the wall, the photos of my team, the certificates of partnerships with major corporations. "This whole time," she finally said. "You've been, how long? How long have you been successful?" "Define successful," I said. "I've been profitable for 3 years. Truly successful. About 18 months. And you never told me. You let me think." "I let you think what you wanted to think," I said quietly. "You never asked about my work, Vanessa. You never showed any interest in my life. You just assumed I was failing because that's what fit your narrative." Her face crumpled. Anger and shame fought for dominance. "Why didn't you tell me? We're family. You watched me struggle, watched Raymond's business fall apart. I sent 12 detailed reports to Raymond's company," I interrupted. "Through LedgerLink. We tried to help. He ignored every recommendation." The realization hit her like a physical blow. "That was you? The software that we hired, that was your company?" I nodded. "So, you knew. You knew everything." "I knew Raymond was mismanaging his finances. I knew he was cutting corners on taxes. I knew he wasn't listening to advice. Yes, I knew." She stood abruptly, pacing. "You could have saved us. You could have. I tried to save you." My voice rose for the first time. "But you can't save people who don't think they need saving. Raymond thought he was smarter than everyone else. You thought I was too pathetic to have anything valuable to offer. So, you both ignored the help that was right in front of you." The silence stretched between us. Vanessa sank back into the chair, her designer dress suddenly looking worn, her perfect makeup unable to hide the exhaustion in her eyes. "What now?" she asked finally. "Did you bring me here to gloat? To show me how wrong I was about you?" I leaned back in my chair, studying her. The sister who'd made my childhood miserable, who'd stolen my inheritance, who'd spent years making me feel worthless. She looked small now, fragile in a way I'd never seen before. "I'm offering you a job," I said. Her head snapped up. "What?" "Consulting position. Part-time. It's mostly symbolic, helping us understand how to better serve businesses in crisis. You and Raymond certainly have experience there." I kept my voice neutral. "The pay isn't huge, but it's steady. Enough to help you get back on your feet. Why would you do this?" Tears streamed down her face now. "After everything I did to you." "Not out of pity," I said firmly. "Out of closure. I need to prove to myself that I'm not like you. That success didn't turn me into someone who kicks people when they're down." She covered her face with her hands, shoulders shaking. "I'm so sorry, Elon. I'm so sorry. I didn't say it was okay. Because it wasn't." But I nodded, acknowledging her words. "The offer stands," I said. "Think about it." News spread fast. Within a week, everyone in our family knew that the brother they'd pitted owned the tech company that had been all over the business news. The same company that had tried to help Raymond. The same company that was now worth close to $100 million. My phone exploded with messages. Relatives who'd barely acknowledged me suddenly wanted to have lunch, to catch up, to hear about my inspiring journey. Cousins who'd laughed at Vanessa's jokes now pretended they'd always believed in me. I ignored most of them. Vanessa's friends, the ones who'd witnessed her cruelty at countless gatherings, started posting on social media about the importance of not judging people and everyone having their own timeline for success. The irony was almost funny. Vanessa herself disappeared from social media entirely. No more posts about luxury, no more humble brags, no more carefully curated perfection. Her accounts went silent. I heard from my aunt that Vanessa had become a recluse, too ashamed to face the people who'd heard her mock me for years. She'd accepted my consulting position but worked remotely, never coming to the office. Raymond left her 3 months later. Couldn't handle being married to someone whose little brother, the one he'd openly mocked, was now exponentially more successful than he'd ever been. The divorce was quiet and quick. Vanessa sold her jewelry to pay legal fees. I heard she was living in a small apartment now, driving a used car, shopping at regular stores instead of boutiques. I saw her 6 months later at a coffee shop near my office. She was sitting alone by the window, staring into a cup of tea. She looked different, simpler clothes, less makeup, hair in a plain ponytail. More real somehow. I almost walked past, but something made me stop. I bought a coffee and approached her table. "Mind if I sit?" She looked up, startled. "Elon." Yes. "Please." We sat in awkward silence for a moment. Then she said quietly, "You won." "This wasn't a competition, Vanessa." "Yes, it was. It always was. And you won." I shook my head. "No. I just stopped losing myself trying to prove something to you. There's a difference." She studied me with tired eyes. "I see that now. Too late, but I see it." "It's not too late," I said. "You're still young. You can rebuild." "Into what?" "I don't even know who I am without the performance. Without the labels and the status and the competition." Her voice broke. "I don't know how to just be." "Then figure it out," I said gently. "It's actually freeing once you let go of all that weight." We talked for an hour. Really talked, maybe for the first time in our adult lives. She asked about my company, and I told her. She apologized again, more specifically this time, for the house, for the wedding, for every casual cruelty. I didn't say I forgave her. But I listened. When we parted, she hugged me. "Thank you for not destroying me when you had the chance." "I'm not interested in destroying people," I said. "I'm interested in building things." LedgerLink went international the following year. We expanded into Canada, then the UK, then Australia. The company I'd built in my apartment while eating ramen was now serving over 50,000 businesses worldwide. I started a scholarship fund in our parents' names. Every year, we gave full rides to 10 students studying technology or business. Kids from families like ours, kids who felt overlooked and underestimated. At the first award ceremony, a reporter asked if my family inspired me. I smiled. They taught me everything. Mostly what not to become. The clip went viral. People shared it with comments about toxic families and overcoming adversity. My inbox filled with stories from people who'd been dismissed by their own relatives, who'd been told they'd never amount to anything. I read every single message. Each one reminded me why I'd fought so hard to prove myself, not for revenge, but for all of us who'd been told we didn't matter. Vanessa came to the scholarship ceremony. She stood in the back, watching as I handed out awards to students whose eyes shone with the same hope I'd once carried. Afterward, she approached me. "That was beautiful," she said. "Mom and Dad would be proud." I hope so, I said. And for the first time in years, I meant it without bitterness. 1 year later, I made my final move. Through my private trust, I transferred ownership of our childhood home to both our names, mine and Vanessa's. Equal shares. When she received the paperwork, she called me immediately. Elon, what is this? Come see, I said. She showed up at the house an hour later. I was standing in the front yard, looking at the garden that had been replanted with Mom's favorite flowers. You bought it back. Her voice was thick with emotion. Yes, I said. Not for revenge. For peace. For closure. For both of us. She walked up the path slowly, touching the doorframe where Dad used to measure our heights. When? How long have you owned this? 2 years. I bought it right after the bank partnership deal. And you're giving half of it to me? After everything? It was always supposed to be ours together, I said. You took that away when you sold it. But I'm choosing to give it back. Not because you deserve it, but because I deserve to let go of the anger. Vanessa broke down completely. She dropped to her knees in the doorway, sobbing. I don't know how to make up for what I did to you. You can't, I said honestly. But you can move forward. You can be better. That's all anyone can do. She looked up at me through tears. I'm sorry. For all of it. I'm so sorry. I helped her stand. Together, we walked through the house, through all the rooms that held our history. The good memories and the bad ones, the laughter and the pain. As we stood in what used to be my childhood bedroom, I said quietly, some people call it revenge. I call it remembering my worth. She nodded, understanding finally. You always had worth, Elon. I was just too blind to see it. We walked out together, locking the door behind us. The house would stay empty for now, a symbol, a reminder, a testament to everything we'd both learned. In the driveway, before we got into our separate cars, Vanessa said, thank you. For not becoming like me. I smiled. Thank you for teaching me who I didn't want to be. And for the first time in our lives, we parted as equals.